Yeah. All right, we're recording.
We are recording as we speak. So first off, let me say thank you again for joining me tonight. I know it's kind of short notice, and it has been something I've been looking forward to for quite some time since watching your inspirational video on Facebook, which I think it's probably gotten. How many views has that gotten now? You know?
I don't know technically, I mean, it's the biggest one I know is that on YouTube, on the DDPY Yoga YouTube page, it's gotten like, last time I checked, it was like 34 million.
That's insane. That's awesome.
Yeah. But
So
I don't think that counts the Facebook and plus, all the other places that shared it. There's no telling how many people have seen that thing.
yeah, that's pretty impressive, man. That's it tells you, it just kind of goes to show that there is a place for the happy, good stories out there. It's not always everything that bleeds leads, right? I mean, that's the way everybody thinks about the news. But so I wanted to check with you a couple things. First off, I'm writing the book. I mentioned that to you in the email, and that it's based on this acronym, BELL. So at the end, I'm going to ask you some questions regarding some of these individual acronyms, letters of the acronyms. But I wanted to find out, what was your initial inspiration? I know that Bert Kreischer, is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
That Bert was that ran. I guess he ran a half marathon. Is that right?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. I had I don't know how in depth you want me to go, but I had, I'd been heavy and I'd had health problems, and back in 2012 I spent 5 days in ICU and wasn't expected to come out initially. They thought it was a pulmonary embolism at first.
Wow.
And my brother's asking me if my affairs are in order, and all these people are coming to visit me that I hadn't seen in years, and it's a pretty scary deal. And so when I walked out of that hospital, I quit drinking and quit smoking cigars, but I never lost weight. And I just concentrated on getting my kids out of high school and getting them all to 18 to where they could, try to stand on their own if I died. And so we got them to 18, and I was still 470 pounds. And I started, I finally went back to the heart doctor. I left the hospital with a diagnosis of congestive heart failure, so I didn't think I could work out. And, but I finally went to the heart doctor after, I don't know, 5 years or so, back in 2017. And they run me through a couple of days of tests, and they basically said my heart was normal. And so I was thinking about suing the hospital for costing me 5 years of good drinking time, But I didn't. And so I knew, so my heart was okay. And so then I went and had checked my knees out, and orthopedics said that the bone on inside of both knees, and that I couldn't, that I was a candidate for a knee replacement, but that he wouldn't do it unless I got down under 300 pounds. And so I didn't know, I felt like I was stuck. Felt like I couldn't exercise. I couldn't get down to 300 pounds. And I felt like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I was sitting on the couch. That's a long story to get to Bert. I apologize.
No, that's great. I love it. I didn't know this background. This is fantastic.
So I was sitting on the couch one Sunday morning. Well, let me back up. I was just started listening to the podcast about this time, and I was listening to Joe Rogan and Bert Kreischer's podcast, and they had started doing Sober October, where they bet Bert he couldn't stay sober a month. And his persona is a big partier, big drinker,
Mm-hmm.
and they thought he'd die if he didn't drink for a month. And they said there was no way. And so there were 4 comedians: Bert Kreischer, Ari Shaffir, Tom Segura, and Joe Rogan. And they all had to stay sober a month, which meant Joe Rogan couldn't smoke any weed. And they had to do 14 hot yoga sessions. And so, it was pretty hilarious listening to them throughout the month, give each other, some grief and mess with each other. But they all made it. And so at the end of the month of November, 1st November, they got together recant their stories and talk about what all happened. And of course, they were drinking and getting high during this event. And they kept giving Bert a hard time, and he kept telling them he can do anything. He's got the Mickey Mantle gene. And so by the end of the podcast, they bet him he couldn't run a half marathon. And so I didn't think much about it. And then about a couple of weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, after listening to it, I'm getting up one Sunday morning, and I'm getting ready to watch football. It was like November 19th or somewhere around there, 2017. And I'm getting up to watch football, and I'm drinking coffee, and I start scrolling through my Instagram, and I see Bert there finishing the St. Pete's half marathon on 2.5 weeks' notice.
Wow.
And and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if this silly son of a bitch can do that, I can do. There's something I can do. I can, there's got to be something out there I can do.
Right.
And so I made a video, and that's what was one of the things they put in there. From my chair, I just did it spontaneously. I just made a video. I'd been thinking about working out, but I never had gotten off the couch. So I just made a video, and I said, Bert, you've inspired me. And I put it out there, and I tagged him and all 3 of the other comedians. And, that evening, so I decided I was going to try to start losing weight. But that evening, I was sitting I was in the restroom before I went to bed. I was sitting on the commode, and I noticed that Bert replied and tagged Tom Segura and said "Changing Lives." So that got me so excited. I went in there and woke up my wife and said, the shit is on. We're gonna do this. And so
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So the next morning I got up, and to show my commitment, I weighed myself. Yeah. Well, I recorded me weighing myself in my underwear, and 475 pounds, and I posted the weigh-in. I said, "This is the start. That Bert, you've inspired me, and this is the start." And that's what got me off the couch.
That is absolutely. I did not know. I did not know about the near-death experience. That's something I haven't heard. I've heard a lot about your story, but I didn't know that. And I also did not know that you were a prior drinker. Was that something that you did a lot of, or was it just a casual drinker, or what?
Well, I considered it a casual drinker. I drank every day from about 5:30 to midnight when I passed out. So I did it pretty casually, though.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so that's part of the reason why I'm in this.
Sometimes on Saturday or Sunday, I started earlier.
Well, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
That's right. That's right.
The rule. I mean, that's the bottom line.
I consider it a casual drink.
Yeah. Well, I always told my doctor whenever they were asking me, how much do you drink? It would be like 3 or 4 a night. That would be my answer. But I didn't tell them if that was like 3 or 4 beers or 3 or 4 6-packs. I didn't give them any details. Right.
So, my doctor told me, what the definition of an alcoholic is.
What's that?
He said, someone that drinks more than your doctor.
Oh, there you go. Exactly. That's priceless. Absolutely correct. Well, that is actually what got me started on this whole the Bell thing here. Was as I pissed the wife off one night. I was supposed to go out and get pizza for the 2 kids that we have of our own, and then we had 2 guest kids that were here visiting, and it was a similar situation. It was a Saturday afternoon. Football was playing. The Gamecocks are playing Georgia Bulldogs, and so I'm watching the first half of the game here at the TV, and then she comes in from outside. And she's like, "Man, they're hungry. Go get some food." I'm like, "Sure." So they want pizza, and it's like right around the corner, like 1/10 of a mile from my neighborhood bar. And so I made the mistake of driving. You can go there 2 different ways. You can go this way and past the neighborhood bar, or you can go this way and avoid the neighborhood bar and go right into that parking lot. I went the wrong way. Yeah. And about an hour. What's that?
The car knew the way.
The car knew the way. My drunk car knows how to get there. And so about an hour and a half later, the second half is gone. It's over. I'm sitting there. I've had probably 4 or 5, 6 Coors Lights, and then my phone starts blowing up. Where are you? And that's what led me to do the journey that I'm on, because the last 5 words of her text message were, "You're never going to change." And I was pretty certain she was gone, right? So yeah, I was more than a casual drinker for 31 years, and now I've been almost 11 months without it. So
Well,
it's
congratulations, man.
thank you, sir. It's been a crazy change, as you can well attest. I mean, I'm sure what you're feeling now, compared to what you felt like the day that you made that first video recording. Can you give us an idea of what the differences have been?
No, man, it's it's night and day, man. It's a whole different life, whole different lifestyle. You know, I you know, when you're 475 and you've been 475 for years and years, and your knees hurt, everything hurts on your body. The world's not made for you. Everything, you know, nothing fits. It's hard to get in and out. You're worried about walking. You're worried about getting in and out. Hell, I'd get winded just going to the mailbox out in front of the house. And so everywhere we went, I had to worry about how close I was going to be able to park, if I was going to be able to walk in. Hell, I couldn't wipe my ass. I had to have this deal called a
Bidet?
well, no, it's a bottom buddy. It's basically like a little deal you stick toilet paper on, so you can reach
Oh, I
around
didn't
with
know.
cigarettes. It exists, man. That hey, that you make life fit you. You know, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, you know, you got to have a shoehorn on a stick so you can get your shoes on. You got to have a squidgy on a stick in the shower. I mean, it's life is not easy for a 475-pound man.
Now, was that as big as you got? That was your heaviest?
Heaviest I weighed on the scale was 478.
Okay. Oh, that was
And
after that was after the first week.
That's after the first week,
Yeah.
but I think I was bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm the same way. My weight, my heaviest that I have on a scale was 267, and I'm only 5'8", right? I'm a little short fella, but so 267 on a short frame looks pretty bloated. But I'm fairly certain that on the doctor's scale, I've been probably in the 272, 275 range. It's always about 7 or 8 pounds more at the doctor's office for some reason.
I think they do that intentionally.
I think they do too. I think their scales are rigged.
That's right.
So you got to the point where you started losing, and you're doing your weigh-ins on your videos, and those have been seen by millions of people. And the big one was the one where you went to see DDP and did your 1 year weigh-in, and you missed making 200 pounds down by what, 2 pounds?
2 pounds.
2 pounds. That's all it took, right?
Yeah.
That would have been huge, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hell yeah. I was happy with 198.
I'm sure.
I was happy. You know, I went from 475 to I think it was 277. I think is what it was.
In 1 year.
1 year's time.
That's insane. That is amazing. And that was without any type of surgery, right? That was just naturally doing your thing.
Yeah, no surgery, no drugs, nothing. I just did it. But DDP is in his program. The DDP yoga program is a huge. I mean, I owe that program, my life, to that program. Yeah, you know, DDP reached out to me after about 6-8 weeks and took me on and hand walked me through his program and hand walked me through that year. And hell, he still followed. He jumped on me yesterday about my food. So
yeah, I saw the video that about Sunday, I guess it was, after your try, right?
Yeah.
He got on you about your goals or something, I guess.
Yeah, no, he stays on me, man. It's tough love sometimes, but he's all heart. He's a special human being, man. He's helped thousands of people and continues to help them. And you know, him and his partner Steve Yu, I really think that you know, I think, you know, I think that they get off of helping people or something. You know, I mean, it's a drug, like a drug to them or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen anybody. They're more worried about helping people than making money.
Right.
They make a ton, but I mean, I'm seriously, they're amazing people.
Once you find what you believe your calling is, when you know what that is, I think it becomes more of an obsession, and that might be the reason why he's the way he is with you. He wants to see you get to that next level. Speaking of which, so I know that you're now using the hashtag 199 point, spelled out point nine,
Yeah.
as a next goal. But what is your end goal? What is your desired ending weight or targeted weight?
I, after the first year, in December of that year in 18, I said 175. But I've struggled so much this year, losing. Lowest I've been since that weigh-in is 256.
Mm-hmm.
And then last Monday I weighed 272. I was back up to 272, and I've struggled my way. I've been going up for 8 months. I've been going up and down, 250s to 270, 250s to 270s,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm tired of it. That's why I put out that video that I'm recommitting, and I'm making 272 my starting weight. So from here on out, I'm only going to announce the pounds I lose from 272.
Gotcha.
I'm just gonna. That's my starting weight. That's my mindset, and I'm gonna get down to under 200. And so, if I get under, to answer your question, if I get under 200, I'll be really happy.
Now you're fairly tall, aren't you? How tall are you?
They told me 5'10" at the doctor's office. It used to be
Okay.
5'11", but now I'm 5'10".
I hear you. So 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 under 200 is kind of our target, or your target goal. If you got to 175, you'd be like in probably one of the most amazing stories that would be out there of all time. I mean, not just
It'd be
recent.
300-pound loss.
That
That's
would
why
be
I picked that
amazing.
number, because it would be an actual 300-pound loss.
Now, let me ask you this question, because I have, for me, just with the little amount that I've lost compared to you, right? I've lost 80 compared to your 200 and something. But I've already noticed and recognized areas on me that I want to get worked on, right? The old man neck is one of them, and then I've got some good stretch marks here on the gut.
How much have you lost?
80.
Woo! Good job, man.
Thanks, man. Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
That was in right at 10 and a half months.
Damn.
But
So
I'm
it
also.
takes to put in then.
What's that?
You know what it takes to put in the work to get there.
That's right. Which is why I wanted to talk to you, because I've got some friends who have been seeing this whole, I call it the transformation, and I've been posting a lot about this, and they get tired of seeing it, right? They think it's just annoying, but the reality is that they have seen the gradual process, right? So they don't really see that it's been 80 pounds. They just see it kind of gradually coming off over the last almost 11 months. People who haven't seen me lately are like, what the hell are you doing? That's amazing. And then you get the guys like my old manager, who I love dearly. He's a great mentor of mine, but he's an executive. And all he wants is the bullet points. Give me what did you do? How long did it take you? I don't want to know all the details. I just want to know what to do to get results. And it's not that way. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of delayed gratification. There's a lot of delayed gratification that you got to do, because you've got to get out there some days and work out when you don't want to.
Absolutely.
And the diet, it's huge. I've seen what you eat, and I am not a huge egg fan, but you do a lot of eggs and avocados and a lot of vegetables. And those are things I've never been traditionally very fond of. So I'm having to find those 4 or 5 foods I don't mind eating over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And then getting out there and doing what you're doing.
Well, that's been one of my thought processes from the start, is that this has got to be a life. It's got to be a life forever event. I mean,
right.
I know I've got to be able to find a balance of the foods that I can eat and maintain the weight, or eat and lose weight and get to where I want to be. Because if I ever go back to eating what I was eating, or drinking what I was drinking, I'll be 475 pounds. That's where my body wants to be.
Right.
And And it's so easy for me anytime I eat or drink anything or do anything. I mean, even if I'm eating good food, if I eat too much, I mean, it just puts weight on me. It's, that's what DDP got so mad at me about. He said, what you've been doing the last 8 months is you've been doing all these triathlons and you eat before and after. You feel like you need to eat, but what you're doing is you're maintaining that weight around
Right.
265. And, do you want to keep doing triathlons and be 265 or do you want to lose weight?
Right.
And, do you want to be 205? And if, you need to put the triathlons aside and concentrate on the nutrition and get your weight down there. You can always come back and do those later.
Well, let me ask you a question, Vance, because this is something I have a cousin who also has gone through her own transformation, and she's going to be going into like a life coaching type of business, and she's lost 80 pounds as well. And she's got this, she shared this mentality with me. I want to see if you kind of agree, or because no one really knows Vance prior to the video that you posted, right? So, except for the folks that are in your circle of, of your sphere of influence. Yeah. But what she said was that if God came down and talked to her tomorrow and said, you can have the body that you've always wanted without having to diet or exercise, but you would have to have your old mentality, like how you felt mentally, or you can have the mentality you have right now and go back to your old body. What would you choose? Right? And one of the things that I have told all my friends who are asking about the process is that the physical piece, losing the weight, quitting drinking, all those things, not having hangovers, not being afraid of checkpoints at night while you're driving home, all those things is fantastic. But I've got this level of mental clarity by not having alcohol in my system all the time and not being carrying around all those extra pounds. I've got this level of mental clarity now that I never had before. And it's just like a light bulb, a big cloud above you, or just moves out of the way and the sun's shining down on you. It's amazing feeling. And I've always been relatively kind of a happy, upbeat guy, viewed very much as an extrovert by most of my friends. But
alcohol does that to you.
It does, and it intensifies that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But I was self-medicating for some reason, right? So I guess the question is, what was your mindset? Like, were you a generally happy person prior to your transformation, or are you generally grumpy? I know that I was following politics religiously. I was following debating people on Facebook about certain stupid crap like the Brett Kavanaugh nomination and abortion and all these things. And I watched the news religiously and kept up with the Drudge Report and MSNBC and Fox News. And I had all this stuff just bombarding me. And I was fairly a negative, miserable person on the inside, but I didn't really show a lot of that on the outside. I showed some of it with my debating on people on Facebook. But I guess the question is, have you really felt a shift aside from the physical that you would not want to you wouldn't want to give back if you switched back to the old eating style?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot there to unpack and answer, but
there is.
I think the mental part of it is, it's weird, and this is something that Steve Yu, which is Dallas's partner, checked on, and he's trying to do a documentary on inspiring, how people inspire, and he told me that there's all the people he's interviewed, it's like a switch that just clicks one day, and he said he has no idea what makes that day or that event or that thing makes it click, and that's what he wants to know. And so my click moment was the Bert thing, that I know I'm not going to quit. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to where I want to go. I mean, it's and all the other times that I have tried to lose weight, I always knew in the back of my mind that I was going to eventually go back to eating and drinking and doing what I always did. So I thought, if I diet for a while, I can go back and doing that, and then I'll be cool. But it don't work that way.
It doesn't.
And so, and the only way I can explain it is at this time, it really was a switch. It really was just a whole change in my mental attitude that, if I cheat, if I slip, if I fall off, if I have a down day, who gives a shit? That's one day. In the long run, I mean, this is a lifetime deal. I tell people I got to do what, like my dog Fifi does. She just kicks some grass on that shit and walks away. So, that's what I got to do to those bad days.
I'm gonna have to use that in the book, man. I'm gonna have to use that quote.
Yeah, that's what the Fifi effect.
That
you
is
just kick some
fantastic.
grass on that shit and walk away. And so that's what I tell people who said, "How do you do it?" I said, you're going to have those bad days. You're changing everything in your life. You're changing. Our whole life is built around food and entertainment and having fun and socializing, and all our holiday events, all our damn business meetings. I mean, it's where do we eat, what do we drink, and for you to stay on the track you got to be on, you're eating something wholly different, and it's hard, and you're going to slip, but who gives a shit? I mean, this is a lifelong deal.
I agree.
And so back to your question. Your question was, which one would I rather have? My body now, no, the body I want, but my old mental deal, or my old body and the mental the mental commitment I have now and my mental set of mind. And I think it's definitely the mental position I have now, because before, I used eating and drinking as a stress relief, and I haven't told many people this, but before I went in the hospital that day, went in July of 12, we lost our house to foreclosure in I think it was about April of 2012. And so for about the last 2 or 3, 4 years or 5 years before, I'm giving you more than you asked for.
It's
fine. You
want
me to keep going?
Yeah, man, it's great.
The long story is that my old man passed away at 99 in a car wreck, and I got a little money, and so my wife and I built a bigger house than we could afford. Then we had to steal some money, and I had to buy out all them damn liens. We finally got in the house. I couldn't afford it. So I fought that house for 5, 6, 7 years. And finally I lost it, bills piling up. First I lost the house. I was doing a solo practice, and I had kids in school and trying to get kids events. So what I would do is after work, I'd go home every day and I'd get drunk to get away from it. And I played World of Warcraft, and that damn game sucked the 2 or 3 years of my life out of me, because I'd go home, get in that game, and get drunk and not think about things. And
right.
And so I'd just sit in that chair, put on the weight, not exercise. But it was a way for me to get away from the reality of what was going on around me. And I got to say, it didn't work too well for my marital relationships either. That was not the best marital strategy I ever had in my life. But in April, we lost our house. We moved into this rent house we're in. We've been in 7 years now. And I asked the DA there, and here in Ellis County, I said, "Do you have any jobs open?" And he said he had a JP prosecutor job, which is the lowest job in the office, making $56,000 a year. And I told him I'd take it. So I shut down my practice. I took the lumps, never declared bankruptcy, worked out deals, slowly paid people off. I still owe Uncle Sammy some money, but I'm finally about getting him paid off. But for 5 years, I've worked up through the DA's office and gotten in it. Now I'm in a lot better position and making a lot more money. But I just had to start over, man.
Yeah.
I just had, and I just had to work through it. And my wife stayed with me. We got all the kids grown up. I got one graduated from college this year, and another one's about to graduate from college, and my third one's in college. And
Wow.
during that time I was working. I had to have extra cash, but I couldn't practice law because I was a prosecutor. And so I opened a knife sharpening business and started making knives. I was working knife sharpening on the weekends, and sometimes at night I'd go do restaurants and go sharpen. So I was working 2 jobs. But you do what you set your goal, you do what you got to do. And I wouldn't have had that mindset but for all these other things that had happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I was always thinking, man, if I just get that one more good case, I can get square. I just got to get through today. If I get, go home, get drunk, I get up, come back to the office tomorrow, I'm going to get, we're going to get there. And so it is a mindset. And so I started at the bottom, and I set my mind. My first goal was to get the kids out of school, which we did, and get them in college. And we about got all our bills paid, and now, hell, I'm running for judge.
I know. I saw that. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. So you're going to be running for a local judge, county judge? What is it?
Judge, Ellis County Court at Law number 3. They just created it with the legislature. At first, I announced I was going to run for the DA.
Mm-hmm.
When I got this mindset, DDP yoga makes me think I can do anything. So I said, hell, my boss announced he's going to retire at the end of 2020. So I announced I was going to run for it. And then the legislature created this new court that it's going to be on the same. It's going to be on the same primary and same voting cycle, election cycle. So I said, well, and if I stayed in the county system, which the county judge is paid out of the county, it works better for my retirement. It was just a smarter play. And I think I'd like being a judge better than being a DA and running that big office.
Absolutely. Yeah. A little less stress on you.
So I'm hoping to get it, but we'll see.
When is the election day?
The primary will be March of 2020.
And you have someone you're running against, and you have a primary component?
There's already been one announced and probably 2 or 3 others. It's a brand new office. So usually when that happens, several people, everybody that's ever wanted to be a judge throws their name in the hat.
Now, I know like in South Carolina, you don't even have to be an attorney sometimes to be a certain type of judge. Is that the case there?
Well, if you're a justice of the peace, which handles Class C tickets, nothing that involves jail time, and also does smaller civil stuff up to like $10,000 and that kind of, you don't have to be an attorney to be that justice of the peace.
Gotcha.
They do they pronounce people dead, marry people, that kind of stuff. But if you're going to be anything that handles a Class B misdemeanor or higher, then you have to be an attorney.
Okay. So I've covered the.
I want to go back to the mental thing, but
yes.
It's that mental thing, that really has gotten me to the place that I am now. I mean, I think I can do anything. Hell, Sunday I'm going to attempt to swim 2.4 miles in the lake.
I saw that.
It's an open water swim. It's 2.4 miles. And I'm going to go try and do it. And I think I can do it. I think I can do it in 2 hours.
That's tough.
Yeah. So you tell me. And so once you get in that water and start going, it's like those triathlons. You just decide you're not going to stop.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
You just go.
So what you described there about feeling like you could do anything, that is kind of what I've been preaching to some of my friends who have been listening to my story. And I think that is partly because of overcoming some of the bigger obstacles. Like, I mean, obviously 475 pounds is a lot, but the amount of alcohol that you were casually consuming was a lot, right? So So I mean, and for me, I'm just like
Yeah,
you.
I told people it was at least 2 handles a day. You know what a handle is?
Yes.
I mean, not a day, a week. 2 handles a week.
Okay. About to say,
Yeah,
whoa.
yeah, no, at least 2 handles a week plus
Okay.
some other wine. I drink a few bottles of wine, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's not what I was drinking.
So when you made a comment though about well, I've been doing it like 31 years, right? I started drinking when I was like 17, and I just turned 49, so 32 years, I guess now. No, I stopped when I was 48, so 31 years. So, but I always had this belief that I wouldn't be able to quit, and if I did quit, um, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be fun. I'd be boring, right? And everything, like you said, everything revolves around it, and then add on to that the mindset was, if I did a 30-day challenge, which I did several of those with my wife, where I would go 30 days and not have any alcohol whatsoever, it would prove to her and to my doctor that, I'm not having DTs, I'm not getting the shakes, so I'm fine, right? But I always knew that at the end of that 30 days, my reward was going to be a nice cooler full of Coors Light, right? That's what was my poison of choice. Like you said, when you go out there and you'd lose weight or whatever, you'd go on your diet, and you knew that it was just temporary, because when you got done with this period of time, you're gonna go back to eating and drinking and smoking cigars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to the point where you have successfully overcome several of those obstacles, and like you maybe have control over those demons, I don't have any desire to drink anymore. I mean, I went to a thing last night at work, and it was free alcohol. I mean, you just had to show your ID to show that you're of age, and you could get free alcohol for an hour and a half. And I had diet Dr. Pepper. I don't even have that desire anymore. So it is a life change. It is a mental change. And then once you make that mental and life change, can you ever picture yourself going back to being the way you were before?
Well, if I've ever diagnosed with terminally ill disease where I'm going to die pretty quick, I'm going to go back to drinking scotch.
Yeah.
With that exception, no.
I'm the same way. I don't know that now. I did have this conversation with a buddy of mine. We climbed Mount Mitchell, which is the highest peak east of the Mississippi River, and it's not even anything close what you guys have out there, in like in Colorado. But we climbed that mountain. On the way up there, we're just doing some what if scenarios, and he said, if you knew that you were going to die in 30 days, would you do anything differently in your life? And I think about that in terms of the moral question, like would I cheat on my wife? Absolutely not, right? Would I steal or rob or no? Would I drink the piss out of some beer and eat some burgers and some pizza? You absolutely correct. I would. For the last 30 days of my life, I'd be pounding it, right?
Yeah,
I'd be pounding it.
If you
knew
you were gonna die, shit, you might as well.
Why not, right? If you go out having fun, right?
That's right.
All right, so a couple last things.
But there was something you said, and I want to talk about. You talked about the mindset of liquor being the alcohol and the party, everything being together. You know what? I grew up in a family. And my dad was a very successful attorney in the 80s and 90s. He was one of the more really the late 80s, early 90s, and then they did tort reform. And during that brief time, he was one of the top 10 workers' comp lawyers in the state of Texas. And so it was good to be a Hinds in the late 80s and early 90s. It was really good to be a Hinds in those years. And but it also instilled in me. So everything we did was big. We'd go eat, celebrate. Every celebration was at a nice restaurant, big gifts, big food, big alcohol. That was the way we lived. And so when I have kids, I felt like that was the way a father should provide for his kids. Big events, big food, and that's what I wanted to give to them. And I felt like that was the example that I'd given. So I felt like a failure if I was unable to give them those things.
Right.
And um, you know, and the truth of the matter is that through this whole thing, their mental toughness grew too, because they went through it with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so our their expectations and our expectations and everything have shrunk down considerably. And now it's not so much about food. We still like to go eat, but we go eat at a healthy restaurant instead of it's we don't cheat on those celebration meals. We'll go find or a health food restaurant or food that has clean eating, or and we accommodate everybody's different diet styles, and it's not the big blowouts that the Hinds participated in the 80s. And so it's just the whole mindset about how you celebrate your family's rewards and your awards and everything changes with the mindset, and you've got to get around that because if you go back to doing what you were doing before, you're going to end up with the same person you were before.
That's absolutely correct. You can't do the same thing and expect different results. That's just the bottom line. So I want to ask you just ending questions here, because I know we're getting close to time. If we're not already over it, probably. But I love how you get into detailed answers, so I'm digging it. So the acronym BELL stands for Believe, Achieve, Inspire, and Lead. So I look at this acronym as a natural progression of what has to happen in order for certain things. You cannot produce or do anything, any achievement, without having the belief in yourself first. Then when you achieve it, people start to see it, they get inspired by it, and then you lead them on their journey of transformation, right? Your case was the inspiration part was Bert. You obviously had belief in yourself that you could get to that point where you are now, and get to the 199.9 and maybe even 175. What limiting beliefs did you have that you were instilled in you, or that you had just adopted over the years, did you have to overcome to get to the point where you began to achieve and inspire others?
What limiting beliefs? I don't know. I hadn't thought about that one. I had basically given up on life when I when I got off the couch. My limiting beliefs was that I couldn't do anything. When I left that hospital in 2012, I thought I had congestive heart failure. I weighed 470 pounds, somewhere around there. I figured my days were numbered. And so I had two goals: was to get my kids graduated and get them set up and try to get a pension for my wife. That's why I went and worked for the county.
Mm-hmm.
Try to live long enough to get her some kind of pension. And those were the two goals I set when I walked out of that hospital back in 2012. And so I worked everything toward those two goals. So over those 5 years, from 12 to 17, I figured I was going to die at any moment. I didn't go to cardiologists. I didn't know. I said my goal was just get as far as I could. And then, I'd given up on life, or given up on even trying to fix it. But I figured if I quit drinking, the doctors didn't tell me to quit drinking, but I figured if I quit drinking, quit smoking cigars, concentrate on try to get a pension and get my kids grown, that's the best I can do to leave this life. And so my limiting factors were, my belief was that my life was over and there wasn't anything I could do. I mean, um, you know, I truly believed I was going to die at any time. And so when Bert hit me with that half marathon, I said, you know, there's got to be something out there I could do. And so I started doing aqua aerobics because it's easy on the knees.
Mm-hmm.
I started walking, and that's when the people started coming out and helping me walk.
Saw that.
And then DDP reached out to me, and I don't think I've talked enough today about DDP yoga and DDP. If there's anything I can tell your followers is that, you know, just if you want to see what it's all about, join the Facebook group DDP Yoga, all one word,
Okay.
DDP Yoga, and it's such a positive energy, such a positive mental support and community that helps you get through this. But once I started and that light switch switched, and I said, I'm going to do something, then it's kind of snowballed from there. You know, once you believed, like what you're talking about, your bell, everything started snowballing from there. It was just, everything's just, you know, putting it out there, making myself accountable, and it's just been an unbelievable journey. But it was that, you know, it was that belief that really got me going. And then when DDP reached out to me, he gave me the mechanism to get there. And so it's just been beautiful.
You know, it's funny that you use the word snowball, because actually one of the things that I've written in the book, the book isn't finished yet. You're going to be part of this. That's why I want to do this interview. But
Sure.
one of the things I've written was that once you get this belief momentum, right? So if you do a couple small things and you're able to find success and achievement in those small things, you start to build like a snowball that gets rolled in fresh packed snow. Right. And it just gets bigger and bigger. It gets faster and faster. It rolls downhill. So it's kind of, I mean, we just the exact same wavelength. One last thing I want to ask you.
I want to talk about your other three letters.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. A, achievement. We know the big one obviously is the weight and the drinking. So what else you got achieved?
Well, achieved. I've done 12 triathlons or triathlon-like events this year.
Yes, I saw the medals you were showing the other day on the video.
I got them all over here on the video. I got them all here. Yeah, so this shirt, I got them all over here. I don't know if you can see them. There's a whole bunch over here. My favorite one's the caveman.
I know, right?
It seemed like caveman triathlon. I love that one. The
Now,
hardest
did you ever think that you would ever get any of those things done?
Shit, no. I couldn't even get to the mailbox. I couldn't get to the courtroom. You know, I mean, now I'm doing this stuff. I just do it, and I really feel like I can do anything. And this one here, but I don't know if you can see on my shirt. This Tri Waco.
Yeah, Tri Waco.
A couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I see it.
But that was an Olympic triathlon. I said, hell, I'm going to go try Olympic triathlon. So in that one, I swam 1,500 meters in the Brazos River. It took me a little less than an hour.
Okay.
And you get out and you get on your bike and you ride the bike 25 miles. And then that took me, I think, about an hour and a half, a little over. And then you do a 10K. And so you walk, run.
6.2?
6.3 miles.
Yeah.
And so it took me 4 hours and 26 minutes to do the whole thing with transitions. And I finished that son of a bitch.
That is fantastic, man.
So
the achievements that you've racked up since beginning all these different events is amazing. And I know that you've got a few more that you told DDP just to back off a little bit, man. I already paid for these, man. You got to let me finish these out, right?
7 more to do.
Wow, 7 more.
7 more. I've got. I wrote them down for that video I made the other day. I added them all up, got my medals out. But I got Cedar Hill this weekend, which is the open water swim, the 4,000 meters, 2.4 miles. I got a sprint triathlon August 18th, I've got the Hotter Than Hell 100, which is a 100-mile bike ride, which is another thing I'm gonna try. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm gonna get out there and try. I've never ridden 100 miles. I've done a 56-mile bike ride in the hill country of Texas, which was pretty tough. But we're going to try to do a Hotter Than Hell 100. That's kind of the litmus test or the pinnacle of bike riding around here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be 13,000 bikers at
Wow.
that thing. And then I got a sprint aqua bike in September 2nd. I got another sprint, 3 more sprints, 2 more in September and 1 in October. I've already paid for.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about signing up for this other bike race, but I didn't tell DDP that. I told him I'd back off. But it gets in your blood, man. It's
I know. I was supposed to be doing tomorrow. I was supposed to be doing a Spartan Super.
Well, good.
I've done the Spartan Sprint. And I was supposed to do the Spartan Super tomorrow, but I had some issues with my sciatic nerve, which caused me not to be able to train for a while. So
you need to do DDP yoga. That's what that's for. Is your lower back, man.
That's what I was going to ask you about that, because I've done regular yoga before. Like I never did it before I started this process. Like September 8th, when I stopped drinking, all the things I've done since then is all brand new, right? Yoga, sleep hypnosis, cold showers versus taking hot showers. I got that from the guy who was on Rogan's podcast.
What do you say about that? What is that supposed to do?
What's the guy's name? He's they call him the Iceman. I'm drawing a blank right now. Anyway, it helps you with losing weight as well. It helps you with losing weight. It helps you with if you have depression or anxiety, it helps with that. There's a lot of things it does, but basically it turns your brown fat, which is like the good fat, it turns that into energy, because that's what you use when you shiver. So it actually turns it into energy faster. So you lose a little bit of weight when you do the cold showers, but it's just more of a mental thing than anything else. But the guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. He's very Wim Hof is his name. If you ever get a chance, look at I think it was Joe Rogan did the interview with Wim Hof, and it's awesome. He talks about the importance of cold showers. So a lot of these things I'm doing now that I never did before. But the yoga thing I started doing, and I love it. But I've not done the DDP stuff. I wanted to ask you about that. So that's you feel that's a pretty is it fast paced? Is it regular yoga? I mean, what is it? Describe it kind of.
Yeah, his story is that he hurt his back, and he started wrestling late in his life, and he hurt his back right as he was starting to break, and his wife got him to try yoga to help his back so he could get back in the ring, and he did, and he got back in the ring and become a world champion in the WW. I think it was the WCW then. It was a different. I don't know. I was never a wrestling fan before.
I wasn't either, really.
I'm getting I'm getting a wrestling lesson doing it with DDP, but and then so when he retired from wrestling, he started this program, and what he did is he took the exercises from yoga and took out the spirituality of it,
Mm-hmm.
and he kept the stretching and the flows and the salutations and the it's the same moves as yoga, and then he added back in some of the exercises, rehab exercises to fix his back, and he added back in old school calisthenics like crunches and push-ups and set-ups and squats and just different things for muscle building and strength, and he also he's added what he calls dynamic resistance, where you're flexing your muscles all the time. You're not trying to stretch them out. You're flexing your muscles to keep them activated through all the moves.
Right.
And and he's more that there's different teachers, but he's more worried instructors, but he's more worried about keeping your heart rate up into your zone. You got to wear. He recommends you wear a heart monitor, and he keep it up in your zone. And so he's more into the the faster pace to keep the heart rate up. to keep you in the zone than he is getting deep in the stretch and stretching out the muscles. He wants your heart rate up and stayed in the zone for a certain period to get you burning fat and burning, get your body working. And so that's the basics of it.
Let me ask you, you mentioned the other letters. We've already covered the B and the A.
Yeah.
What, I don't know if you have anything you want to cover on the I. I know we know what the inspiration to get you started was, but what are your thoughts on the I and the L? What are you doing individually? I think you had a podcast, or do you have a podcast or something that you're doing
I
to help
started
me?
it. I need to get back into it. Since that video went viral, I kind of went back to the back burner with everything
Okay.
else. I mean, I've got about 10 interviews recorded that I need to put out, but I
Yeah.
hadn't. It's just been crazy since that video went viral, and I'm trying to keep my weight and doing these triathlons and now running for judge. But inspiring is, I really feel like we're all in this together, and that we need to help each other. We've been given a second chance. I've been given a second life, basically.
Right.
And so we have a duty to extend that helping hand to others. And I talk to people all through social media. I talk to anybody that you wanted to interview. I give you an interview. Anybody that will listen or want some help, I try to help them if I can.
Yeah.
I consider that part of my obligation. And honestly, I've been an attorney for 20. Let's see, I got licensed in '93. So what is it? 26 years. People don't go to attorney when they're happy.
Right.
You deal with the worst of the worst, and so
Right.
if I can inspire people, that's where I want to go with my life. I would rather help people. I would like to get into the position that Steve and Dallas are in, helping people. Because I would rather help people than try to fix their problems after they get in a bind. But
so yeah, that's my question for you then, because we know that you're that you're shooting for this judge spot, right? This judgeship. But what do you aside from the judgeship? What do you view? What do you see in Vance Hinds' future? Do you see a book? Do you see a speaking tour for motivational speaking? What do you see?
I would like to do both. I would
Yeah.
like to do both. I would like to write a book, but I would also I really want to do the motivational speaking. I really want to get out there and help other people.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's people can change their life. If DDP has a lot of quotes, but talks about never underestimate the power. I'm sure I'm going to mess them up. The power of belief you give someone else, or so. I don't know, but you want, I know one of his favorite quotes, he quotes Zig Ziglar's that says that you can have everything you want in life if you help others get what they want.
Right.
And, so we all want positivity in our life. We all want better health. We all want a happy life. And, life is, I truly believe that life is suffering, that it's, the Buddhist belief, the first tenet of Buddhism, that life is suffering. But, you've got to, if you can change your mental attitude and be positive about it, look at every chance as an opportunity, look at every chance as a lesson, be ready to overcome the obstacles and go get your life and go get the life that you want. I mean, you can be the person that you want to be. You just have to get your mind right and go get it. So
what you're describing, I've got a 15-year-old son, and love him dearly, but his brain isn't developed as ours. So I show him the videos and things like that you and I watch. And one of the guys is a guy named Garen Jones. I don't know if you know who Garen is, but he has he's a great story. If you ever get a chance, just Google Garen Jones. He's really, really good. But anyway, he has a motto that's change your mindset, change your life, right? And I think it's a fantastic motto. And I shared it with my son. And then now, anytime I try to give him any kind of advice, hey, Dad, change your mindset, change your life. I'm like, I just want to throat punch little kids sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
But I
that's
mean, but
I've got
it's
something about that too. Go
but
ahead.
is it not the truth though? You change your mindset, you change your life. And Garen Jones nailed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I've got some child advice. Is that your oldest, the 15-year-old?
Yes, it is. He's 15. Yeah.
You have any others?
My daughter's 12.
Oh, well, those are fun.
Yeah.
I really believe that it's an evolutionary. It's an evolutionary trait that's been passed down, that the kids that have made it, that are the ones that become these assholes and hate their parents, and it makes the weaning process easier, and they get out there and they pass on their genes earlier, so those genes getting passed down. So it's those asshole kids are the ones that are really the ones that are the Darwin, they're the Darwinian winners. And so
Yeah.
So all through the teens they hate you, but then in the 20s they start figuring out that you're the smartest person on earth.
Exactly.
So you just got to get through those teen years of the weaning and just be the best parent you can during those years.
He's a good kid. He's actually a fantastic disc golfer. He plays disc golf,
Really?
golf. And we were just out in Kansas, not far from you, a couple weeks ago for Junior Worlds. So he's a good kid. Yeah. He's a real good kid.
He's serious about it.
Yeah, he's just a little smart ass though, but he's a good kid though.
Well, they all are.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to a book from you and seeing you on a stage sometime at about 175, looking dapper. What else would you like to cover? And we've gone over our allotted time, but I appreciate that from you for the flexibility. But what else would you like to cover before we call it a night?
I'd like to tell some people where I'm at on social media.
Yes, absolutely.
Stuff. That podcast, which I hope to get going again. It's called Extra Usual, and it's just like it sounds, extrausual.com. And there's only about 14 episodes out, but I've got a bunch more, and I really enjoy doing this interview talk and getting to know people. And the premise behind the podcast is that everybody has something that we can learn from. And so you kind of go through people's lives that have an interesting story, that are extraordinary, that are, extra usual, and just kind of go through their lives, learn how they got to where they are in their lives and what they did, and try to figure out things we can learn from it, and basically give them a chance to get their life story down for their family and friends, and also pass on any wisdom that they want to pass on. And so it's been a pretty good format. I really enjoyed it. I've talked to a lot of interesting people. I've kind of neglected these last 10 or so because I hadn't gotten them out. So I hope to get that back up, www.extrausual.com. Catch me on Facebook. I'm Vance Wade Hinds, Hinds. Instagram, I'm Vance_Hinds. Twitter, I'm LawDog1515. What else is there? YouTube, I'm Doghouse 15151515.
Yeah.
My worst naming. I wanted Doghouse 15, but there was already a Doghouse 15. Then it turned out to be a Doghouse 1515 and a Doghouse 151515. So now I'm Doghouse 415.
Right on.
But I don't know, I'm gonna have to change that, I think. But let's see, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I guess that's it. That's about it. And if you're in Ellis County, vote for me for county court at law judge in March of 2020 if you vote in the Republican primary. But I guess that's it. I'm really enjoyed this process. I'm hoping to lead, like you said. I bought the Brene Brown book, Dare to Lead. I'm going to read that. You ever listen to Brene Brown?
Brene Brown is fantastic. One of my favorite quotes that she has, and I'm going to butcher it when I say this, but one of my favorite quotes was, she says, if you're not in the arena, getting your ass kicked, I
That's
don't care
right.
about. I don't want to hear your opinion.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
beautiful. That is
That is
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, she really harps on that man in the arena, the old Theodore Roosevelt,
Yeah,
with that quote from that speech, and
I
she's
think she's
taking it to
fantastic.
a whole new level. And she, she speaks to my heart. A lot of things she says, and so I've listened to her Netflix. I listened to her on a bunch of podcasts, and she was on the Oprah, one of the Oprah podcasts, which is pretty good, master's class or something like that. So
Yeah,
I love her, but she dare to lead. She says you got to be vulnerable. You got to put yourself out there. And Nat came back. You got to put yourself out there, and you got to dare to lead. You got to, and so that's what I'm doing. Um, you're gonna fail. That's what her big thing. One thing I listened in that vulnerability talk she gave on YouTube 10 years
yes,
ago. She said that she tells people in industries, that if you're in the arena, you're gonna fail. And all of them say, well, yeah, I understand that there's a risk of failure, and they start talking like that. And she said, no, you didn't listen to me. You didn't hear what I said. I said you're going to fail.
right.
If you're not in the arena fighting, then you're playing it too safe. If you're in there where you need to be, putting yourself out there, you're gonna fail. Get your ass back up, pull up your britches, and get back in the arena.
I agreed with that 100%, man. I think Brene Brown is fantastic. She is inspirational, and that's a great person to kind of model some leadership traits over. I totally agree. Well, listen, man, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that I want to thank you for your time. You have been very generous with your time. I'm sure you probably get a lot of requests from people, and I really am enjoying every video that you post. I think that your weigh-in videos are fantastic. I think that it's inspirational, obviously, to see someone who has gone through what you've gone through and maintain a positive, upbeat. Even when you said the other day that you're pretty certain that your weight was going to go back up to maybe 275, and it came in like 272, and you knew it was going to happen, but you were still, and you were a little down, but you were still positive, right? You still had that mentality that this is not my weight, and I love that. And so it's very encouraging to see. I think that once you get yourself into a position where maybe you have the time to sit down and write that book, and you're not campaigning 24/7 or whatever, I think it's going to be a fantastic book. I look forward to having it in my shelf, and I also think that that one day that I'll be seeing you on a stage, giving your testimony to people who, the very few people out there, I guess, who don't know who you are still, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's very, very amazing to watch, and it's fun to follow you and your videos. And I appreciate you putting it out there and being honest. I mean, your transparency is, I mean, hell, you're in your underwear, man. Your transparency is transparent to the bone, and I love that. And that's kind of what I feel about myself. I don't hold anything back, and there's no reason to. We're not here very long, right? We're not here on this rock together very long. So if there's something in my head or in your head that could help someone else who's struggling, then why not share that, right?
Absolutely. Shit, what have I got to hide? Hell, shit, they might as well tie me to the courthouse, pull my britches down, I mean, I've showed it all. I ain't got nothing to hide. I've taken some licks, and you fight through them. You do what everybody does. You keep fighting. You don't stop, and that's what you do, man. That's what life's about, is fighting through the rough times. And
well, you gave me a lot of material, so I was expecting a very short interview and getting just a couple pull quotes for the book, but there might be a whole chapter on Vance in this book. So I hope that doesn't piss you off and
do what you want to do.
Take any fire out of your book, So
no, you got to send me a copy though.
I will, absolutely. And I'm going to post this video, and I'm going to tag you in it as well. And I'll probably tag DDP and those guys as well, Bert and DDP and those fellows, if that's cool with you.
Hey, give DDP, Bert, give those guys. They've been nothing but wonderful to me, except for the tough love I get from DDP. They've been nothing but super and wonderful. You know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those two guys. In fact, I'm told Bert I'm gonna get his tattoo on my chest.
I know, I heard that. He's
And
got to pay for it though, right?
yeah, he was when I put it out there. He said he'd pay for it on Twitter. So I keep reminding, trying to make sure he sees that he's gonna have to pay for it when I get under 200.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that tat, bro.
Hey, where can I find all your stuff at?
Oh yeah. So I'm under Rob Simpson on Facebook, but I've got a Rob Simpson Bell Academy Facebook page, and then I've got a Rob Simpson Bell Academy YouTube page, and the Twitter and Instagram right now are under something else. I've got to brand those to get them to the same brand, but right now I've got like a Twitter account under something I used to do called Robservations. Where I would just kind of make these little funny observations, call them observations. And I'm kind of letting that go away since I'm focusing more on now Bell. So I'll get those out there as well, the Twitter, the Instagram. But right now it's basically just under Facebook and YouTube. And I'll be self-publishing the book. And I'm hoping that in the next 30 to 45 days to have it edited and through Amazon Direct Publishing, and then I will definitely have a copy in your hands. But where are you located, by the way? I mean, I know you're in Texas, but what's that close to where you're located?
Close to Dallas. We're 30 minutes south of Dallas. We're kind of in the north central part of Texas, kind of.
Okay.
But yeah, I would be interested when you get the book done and get it published. I would be real interested to know your thoughts process on the whole self-publishing deal and advice on how to do that and everything.
I'll tell you what we do. We'll make a plan then. Once it's done, and you get through some of your races, I'll schedule a trip out to Texas, and we'll spend a weekend, and we'll just kind of go through what I did and the process, and I'll walk you through step by step.
Shit, you got a date. I'll interview you for extra usual over here too.
That sounds good. I'm up for it.
All right, man.
All right, Vance. I appreciate your time, my brother. I appreciate what you're doing, man. Keep it up and stay positive, stay focused. And I'm looking forward to that day that you step on that weight and that little thing says your weight is 199.9, and then
that's right.
Boom, right?
Boom. Bert has to pay for the tattoo.
That'd be fantastic. All right, brother. You have a good night, man. I appreciate you.
All right, you too.
All right, bro. Thank you.
All right, we done recording?
We are as of right now. We're done with recording.
It still says recording up there.